Hi, this is Shubham Tiwari.
Hi, this is Akshay.
Welcome to the Salespanel podcast, where we bring you the journeys and playbooks of thought leaders from the B2B world. Tune in for all things on data-driven marketing, product-led growth, and customer intelligence. Our guest today is an experienced product marketer and content design specialist with a knack for engaging B2B storytelling. She is the senior product marketing manager at 6Sense, who specializes in product positioning, sales and demand enablement, blog, newsletters, ebooks writing, among many other things. Mitali Shetty, welcome to Salespanel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Great to talk to you guys.
So Mitali, tell us about your role at 6Sense. What does your day-to-day operations look like?
Right. So like you mentioned, I'm a senior PMM at 6Sense. As a PMM in a B2B SaaS company, my role is highly cross-functional, right? So I sit at the intersection of sales, marketing, customer success, and product. To sum up, a typical day would be very difficult because every day is so dynamic and so different. But at 6Sense, we get this opportunity, rather freedom to pick our own projects at the start of the month, right? Which obviously aligns to the business goals. So currently I'm working on persona analysis, wherein I am interviewing personas on a large scale across the board to understand how they go about doing their stuff to essentially shape our product strategy. And also sales enablement is a constant project that we work on. So I'm creating these product feature videos for enabling our sales. So yeah, dynamic role, exciting times. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you have previously worked for Slintel and now you are working for the parent company 6Sense. So what major shift that has brought to you since?
So the core nature of our role, right, has not changed at all. We are still tasked with promoting the awesomeness of our product to the world. What has changed is we now have more people to collaborate with. 6Sense has some amazing, highly experienced marketers, right? So more sounding boards, more perspectives, best practices from their end. Amazing. Like there's never been a good time to be a PMM in 6Sense.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. So Mitali, you're pretty big on, product positioning. Mm-hmm. You've been doing this for quite a while. You come, with a pretty diverse background. So can you tell us what brands should keep in mind while creating product marketing content that aligns with product positioning?
So essentially, product positioning is the promise that you make to your prospects about how you're going to make their lives better, right? So whenever you're creating any sort of product collaterals, don't give them a laundry list of like features or your services. Tell them what outcomes you're going to drive through those features. What's in it for them? For example, pipeline growth. For example, eliminating manual data entry, automating stuff like, tell them what is the benefit that they're going to get out of those features or services, which will eventually tie to the higher promise that you've made. So yeah, don't give them a laundry list. Tell them what's in it for them. How is it going to benefit them in their day-to-day?
Right. But, there is a, let's say a sea of sameness, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to, positioning and all. So can you expand a bit more on product positioning? Because I'm sure many marketers, let's say the beginners who are watching you right now, they want to learn, let's say, more on product positioning. So what do you say to that?
I'm a huge fan of April Dunford's positioning content, right? She says that, hey, understand your ICP pretty well, understand their pain points, and craft a very simple positioning, craft something that they can understand rather than like giving them jargons, eliminate all the, separate all the jargons from your attributions and positioning. Just keep it simple. Right. Understand your target audience pretty well and where they are at. So, yeah.
Right.
Okay. So how can someone get started with creating storytelling-based product marketing content in the B2B space like we are?
So for me, a story is going from point A to point B, right? the product promise that you make is essentially taking the customer from point A, which is their current situation, giving them sleepless nights with their pain points, and taking them to point B with your product, which is like solving for their problems. So this is, please understand your promise that you're making, the positioning that you're sending out to the world, that hey, what am I going to do with this product for you? Understand the impact of your product that is going to drive on your prospects or customers. This is the plot. Okay, so the second part is the characters. Your product advocates have lived this journey from point A to point B. They have seen the impact, okay, of your product. So use them in your storytelling, use them in your collaterals to essentially advocate your product to people who don't know about them, because it's a source of truth, of credibility, right? They have seen the journey. That's a best-selling storytelling novel for you there.
Yeah, yes.
So Mitali, you're pretty big on newsletters as well. You write, you have written ebooks as well. I mean, because you come from that background of content. Yeah. So just, taking a, let's say side route into your journey so far. Please tell us about, how did you graduate into this role of product marketing manager? Because B2B space in India is pretty new. There is still, so much to be discovered. So please tell us, how did you, graduated, sort of came into on your own in this role?
Right. Content is the base for all things marketing, right? I was a content strategist before, and primarily I used to work on SaaS products, right? Something that intrigued me was, hey, working with sales, enabling them, positioning your product in a way that people get intrigued by it. So it was a seamless transition. And second thing, I wanted to get into product marketing, right? So I made the switch. Coming from a strong content background did help for sure, because understanding your target persona is like the crux of everything. So that's my journey. It was pretty seamless. And then newsletters, right? Newsletters is a big part of SaaS companies or B2B companies, because that's a way of connecting to your customers or target audience once a month to keep it fresh, your product fresh in their minds. So the way I look at it in my newsletters, yes, it is a platform to announce your new features for your quarter, or if it is a quarterly newsletter or a monthly newsletter. But I would go beyond just talking about my features and tell them what can you do with those features. For example, if I'm an email automation tool, right, I will tell you what are the enhancements that I have done in the past month or a quarter in my product. But I will also tell you about, hey, best practices to write an email, best practices to do's and don'ts of email marketing. What are the tools that you can use? So giving them that added information about what can you do in your day-to-day life through my tool, right? And another thing is, don't be afraid to experiment with fun stuff, throwing a puzzle or a meme, because in the end, just balance out the heavy with some light.
Right.
So just make it fun. Don't keep it all serious. So, yeah.
But don't you think this, making it fun is also becoming a norm? So because nowadays, people have started using memes, right, on LinkedIn, which was unimaginable, let's say a while ago. But so how do you, make your fun actually fun? Because there are so many people who are trying to do the same things. How do you keep, ahead of the curve?
So I'll tell you something. Memes, if I get 10 newsletters, right, yes, I will be tired of the content, but I will never be tired of the fun stuff there, right? So people are so involved in hey, how can I differentiate myself? They actually forget to get the customer in their mind, and it's why not just add whatever we want to add? Just people get so caught up with in that rabbit hole of like, hey, I want to differentiate myself, I want to do something fun. It's sometimes it backfires, or it does not like, come out that well the way you want to. So stick to the basics, like, your audience, study your audience. What do they like? Do they like fictions? Do they like any sort of their skills and interests? And plug and play those sort of content nuggets in your newsletter. Take it easy, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you include product advocacy in your content marketing plan, Ada?
Yeah, I think product advocacy is one of the most powerful form of content that can drive everything from credibility to revenue for you. So for example, if you're writing a blog on a certain use case, and if you find that a customer has given you a review somewhere on G2O Crowd or anywhere else, try to backlink it. It forms for a very credible source of truth, which is very good for inbound, leads that come in.
Yeah.
So backlinking to your product advocacy wherever they have given it, creating a lot of videos in terms of, say, supercuts, like having different any of your video testimonials, just plug it in all together, share it on your website. Some of the ways that I can think of. Yeah.
So I mean, Mitali, to give it some context, we're coming from a point of view that it's also important to create SEO focused content for inbound marketing, right?
Yeah.
So how do you keep a balance of product advocacy in content marketing, because it's going to affect, let's say, in some ways. So how do you maintain that balance?
So essentially, you are going to get a certain amount of advocacy somewhere from your customers, right? Have different pages for your case studies, have different platforms for customer advocacy, and essentially it's upon the content marketers purview, like how much I want to do educational content, how much I want to do, say, promotional content, and how much I want to do advocacy content. So yeah, I think most of the content marketers get a balance of it. But I think customer advocacy needs to be leveraged more than it is right now. If you're really looking at driving those leads, driving inbound traffic, driving those, leads that you want to convert.
Yeah. So Mitali, if I take you back, to the newsletters once again. Yeah. So how do you measure that you're making progress on changes? What are your go-to metrics when it comes to making changes and measuring the progress?
So I'll be a little biased here because of my background and content, and I try to focus more on if I can get the reader from line 1 to line 2 to line 3 to all the way till the end, right? Click-through rates, all those open rates, yes, they are important. But I want to know how much value am I adding, how much, are they getting out of my newsletter. So if I had to put like names of metrics, forward rate would be one, growth of list would be one, because I know that, hey, people are enjoying, that people are forwarding my content, right? Growth in subscription rate would be some of the metrics that I would measure.
Right. Yeah, it's wonderful. So moving on, nowadays marketers are getting excited about connecting every aspect of marketing with revenue directly. Product-led growth is a new buzzword. Some say product-led sales is also there. So what are some contemporary product marketing advances that you are excited about?
To be very honest, again, because my hands are deep into it right now, it's PLG motion. Right. Simply because, hey, there's nothing rewarding more than like, getting people to use your product, be falling in love with it, and like, using it again, right? But having said that, there are different models of PLG based on what the company goals are. Some companies might have a freemium track before at the beginning, and then they will layer it with a sales track for enterprise leads. Some companies will just have, say, the product drive all the net new revenue, and then have the sales and CS for expansion revenue. Some folks will have a sales-led motion before for that initial growth, and then layer it with a freemium model. So it depends upon what the company's goals are. But yeah, I think with what Slack, Dropbox is doing, PLG is the way to go, and lower cost of acquisition, more delight. So initially you might have to spend a lot on R&D to build that product, but then scaling it might take less resources. So it depends upon what your company's goals are, but yeah, PLG is something which is very close to my heart, and I'm working on that. So I enjoy doing that.
Yeah, PLG is like, is the buzzword, just like as I said before.
Yeah.
But is there anything, you are, experimenting with, and you can tell us about it, which is in the pipeline?
Experimenting at 6Sense, not experimenting, rather we ace at it, is community building,
Okay.
right? It's I would say it's like an old school way, but it's such a powerful way of getting your ICP in the same room of any sort of community building activities that you're doing, and essentially not selling, but making them come together and talk about what they are, what sort of space they are in, what sort of problems they are facing, right? Building a community is a very powerful, I think, till date, a very powerful tool in marketing right now.
But what does a community mean to a product marketing manager? Because there are so many let's say stakeholders involved in a community, right? So how do you contribute as a PMM?
Essentially, what we do is we hold events, we hold these meetups for folks. We will have all such meetups. They are a great way to get all the ICP that we need under the same roof. Essentially, again, talk about what is that common thread amongst us, building that wow factor for hey, there is a solution out there, we did not know this. So sharing that mutual knowledge that we have. So that's something that I would contribute to, like events, webinars, creating that whole community driven educational content on our website or any sort of digital footprint.
That's wonderful. Mitali, thank you so much for your time. You have been quite up to the mark with your answers and very generous with your time. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about and we missed out on asking? Now is the time to do that.
Not really. We can have a different session on PLG altogether wherein I can ramble through and through. But this has been great. I hope this helps people to, especially the new PMMs who are just getting into the game, to understand and get the value out of PMM and actually, make PMM worth of what it is actually. It's
so you're
not
one of the
about writing content. People have this notion like PMM sales enablement content, collaterals. No, there is so much more to it, right? We are actually taking the awesomeness. We're actually building a story around, authentic story around what a CEO has built and taking it to the market. We're actually making the product marketing fit to the taking it to the market, and doing all sorts of analysis as to influencing the roadmap, influencing how we need to position ourselves. So there is so much more to PMM than just collateral creation, which I think people fall into that rabbit hole.
Yeah, you can expand on that, because PMMs are again, it's a new breed, right? In a very new space of B2B. So you can expand on that with a context to PLG. You can do that.
Right. So essentially a PMM for my role, right? I try to analyze a lot of user behavior, right? Essentially to understand hey, if we are building this feature, is it going to be valuable to them? Are they going to come back to using my feature or any service that I have again and again without a lot of intervention from sales, right? So I need to understand my ICP better to take it back to the product team, hey, these are the features that they are really interested in that will really impact them, rather than just building features which are good to have features.
Yeah.
So the analysis, the groundwork, is something that a PMM can highly contribute to, right? And there's nothing like influencing the roadmap. Okay, and seeing that value when your MAUs and DAUs increase like over time, when you analyze that on your dashboard, okay, because of such analysis that I did, we built certain things, and this is how it's impacting. Also, I feel that there is demand gen, there is lead gen, there is content marketing. They're all on the side of selling, but a PMM is on a side of the customers, right? So I'm not going to like sell to the customers. I'm going to be like, hey, like, through all my transactional base, through the onboarding experience that I can give them, I'm going to make sure that my customer finds the most value out of what I had promised in my positioning, right? So the PMM is on the side of the customers, and we're not selling them. We are actually helping them get the value out of the product. So again, it depends upon the organization, what has defined the role, and what the immediate goals of that organization is, and how you can contribute. It differs from organization to organization.
Yes.
For example, if the organization is just building out their sales team, right?
Yeah.
Enablement will be a big part of your day-to-day activity, because you need to train these folks on having a unified messaging across their pitches, getting their pitch docs right. Yes. So it depends upon what stage of the company is in, and you map your role accordingly. But at 6Sense, we have the freedom, again, Tashwood, to like pick our battles and our projects, which is wonderful for the growth of a PMM, because we get to do everything that we want. Yeah.
Right. I think it's a good point to, end this conversation. It's a very fast-paced, wonderful, very insightful conversation. So thank you once again, Mitali.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we are grateful to have you. And thanks to our viewers for sticking with us. We'll see you in the next episode of the Sales Panel Discussions.